everyone, this is Holly, live from 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐴 studio, and you're watching the opening bell. Let's cast an eye over how the market chapter is panning out today. Defying the global share market trends, the S&P/ASX 200 opened lower today, dropping 0.53% to 7045 after setting a new 52-week high. The bottom performing stocks in this index are Unibail Rodamco Westfield Limited and Woolworths Group Limited. On Thursday, the Australian market was seen making a new 52-week high as the market continued its upward trend. The global equity indices extended their rally and the US Treasury yields inched up higher on Thursday, after strong US economic data and the Federal Reserve's unchanged stance for supporting the economy fueled confidence among the investors. Let's now zoom our lens over to the major newsmakers on the Australian share market, driving the market scenario today. First up is BNPL player Sezzle, which announced that it would file a registration statement with the US Securities and Exchange Commission for a proposed IPO in the US. In another update, the company has also announced a jump in the underlying merchant sales of 214.1% to 492.5 million Australian dollars. Meanwhile, ANZ said that its first half cash profit would see a total impact of $817 million, or around 5 basis points of CET1 capital, due to the number of notable items. Then Australia's leading provider of high-quality aged Japara Healthcare announced that it has received a takeover bid from Little Company of Mary Healthcare at 30% premium to its Thursday closing price. And now moving on, a 60-day trial of regenerative medicine company Mesoblast Remestel L drug has shown the treatment reduced mortality in people under the age of 65. Then engineering and construction services provider CIMIC reported a 1.2% fall in revenue to $3.39 billion and a 6.9% dip in net profit after tax to $100.2 million. Besides, Energy Origin player said that its March quarter integrated gas production fell 4% from the December quarter to 65.4 PJ. And moving on, oil and gas explorer producer Beach Energy has downgraded its 2021 production guidance following a decline in production rates within the Bower field. Sports betting player PointsBet reported quarterly revenue rise of 236% to $905.2 million compared to the same period a year ago. And then gambling and entertainment player Sky City Entertainment reaffirmed that its guidance that in 2021 financial year group normalized EBITDA would be above the previous year. And multinational gold player OceanaGold Corp Limited announced that it was on track to deliver its production guidance. The company expected to meet its production guidance despite facing challenges at its Halley and Macraes mines. And let's now take a look at the US market performance overnight that is closely tracked for Qs. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones rose 0.71% to 36,460.36 points, while the S&P 500 gained 0.68% to 4,211.47, closing at a record high. The Nasdaq Composite shot up 0.22% to 14,082.55 after retracting from the intraday high of 14,211. The US economic growth picked up pace in the first quarter of 2021, fueled by a massive government stimulus for businesses and households, paving the way for what is expected to turn out to be the strongest annual economic recovery in nearly 4 decades. US gross domestic product, or GDP, a measure of combined goods and services produced, grew at a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 6.4% in the first 3 months of 2021. The growth rate was just 1% below its peak in 2019. This strong impetus in the economy reflects the increased consumer spending, a key factor of GDP growth. Some analysts are also seeing the second quarter for a further acceleration in growth as the reopenings continue, and assuming that COVID-19 variants remain contained. The Mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, plans to fully reopen the city on the 1st of July, after more than a year of closures and restrictions. On Wednesday, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that it is not time yet to discuss any change in policy after the U.S. Central Bank left interest rates and its bond buying program unchanged, despite projecting a more optimistic view of the country's economic recovery. The Fed's unchanged interest rates, robust U.S. corporate earnings, and the conviction that President Joe Biden is going big on the infrastructure opening spending helped equities market to rise. Then the U.S. corporate reporting also glued that the market participants, shares of McDonald's NYSE MCD hit a 52-week high of 235.71 US on Thursday after the company published its results. The stock price has increased 25% in 1 year. Yum Brands' stock price has also grown at 33% in 1 year. McDonald's reported a 39% growth in the first quarter net income. For Yum Brands, revenue during the 3 months soared 18%. Like its bigger tech peers, Twitter posted stronger than expected results for the first quarter. Meanwhile, technology giant Apple Incorporated's fiscal second quarter net profit soared to $24 billion US. And Facebook Incorporated said its revenue during the fiscal third quarter ended March jumped 48%, while Amazon noted $108.5 billion in revenue in the first quarter, surging 44% year over year, beating out analyst expectations of $104.5 billion. And now moving on to the dip in bond yields and greenback. The economy is expected to do well in the next couple of months, and the bond market sell-off could return, making Treasury yields attempt to test the end of March highs. The benchmark 10-year Treasury notes fell 4/32 in a price yield to 1.634% compared to 1.62% on Wednesday. The US dollar stayed just off 9-week lows as the Fed's dovish outlook and bold spending plans from the government has increased inflation worries. The dollar index rose 0.08%, while the Australian dollar fell 0.32% to 0.7764. Meanwhile, in the cryptocurrency world, Bitcoin traded in a small range on Thursday, closing 0.32% lower at US 54,894.3. However, Dogecoin skyrocketed by a massive 18.7% to 0.32 US. The SpaceX CEO tweeted calling himself the Doge Father, along with SNL May 8, hinting that he might speak about Dogecoin in his upcoming appearance on a popular US sketch show, Saturday Night Live, or SNL. The tweet resulted in the crypto rising from 0.25 to 0.30 in the short span of 15 minutes, bringing it closer to highs it enjoyed just 2 weeks ago before dropping amid a large crypto sell-off last week. Dogecoin was valued as high as 0.41 cents US on April 20, before it dropped to around 0.21 cents on April 23rd amid a massive sell-off likely influenced by concerns about US President Joe Biden's plans to increase capital gains tax. Well, on that note, let me take you through the resources sector. Oil prices continued their uptrend and were on track to hit 6-week highs as a weak dollar, strong US economic data, and an expected pickup in demand outweighed concerns about rising production and the impact of exponential increase in the COVID-19 cases in India. The WTI crude futures closed 1.8% up at 65.1 US per barrel, while Brent crude futures settled at 68.56 per barrel, up 1.9%. Meanwhile, spot gold dropped 0.4% to $1,773.60 an ounce, while the US gold futures were 0.3% down at $1,768.3. Well, that's all for now. Stay tuned for more live updates on 𝐾𝐞 TV across economy, markets, and sectors. This is Holly signing off.